Hey everyone, Syndex here, with the Tier 4 Japanese cruiser, the Yubari. Now this is another one of the pre-order bundle ships, which now, if you buy one of these pre-order bundles, last I heard, you can get access to the closed beta. So a lot of people are going to be taking a look at these ships and trying to decide which one they want, or all of them. So let's go over this ship in particular and its attributes, and I'll kind of give my opinions on what I think about it. Well, first let's take a look at some of these modules. We'll go and see the main battery at first, which is 140 millimeter Type 3 with a rate of fire of 9.2 rounds a minute, 24 seconds to get the 180 degree turn on the turrets, which is a little slow, but it's not bad. HE shell damage 1420, AP shell damage 3020, and now this is about average. And considering, if you take a look at the turrets, you'll notice that you have the one big one up front and the one big one in the back. And those are your turrets, 2 guns apiece on the turrets. So not a ton of guns, but with decent size and a decent rate of fire, they get the job done pretty good. Let's take a look at some of the other aspects of it before we make a big judgment. We'll take a look at the hull. Combat capability, meaning the hit points, 18,300. And armor is 6 to 57 millimeters. We're trying to see if we can find the primary aspects of this thing, and the hit points are probably going to be one of the bigger parts of this ship. It's got some pretty good hit points. Torpedo tubes, it does have torpedoes on it, and it does have them on either side rather than, actually I'm mistaken, they're not on either side. You can actually shoot these both directions. Another thing, like I said in my last video of The Sims, that I like to make a point of checking, as I am now. So we have 2 turrets of 2 torpedo tubes each that can fire on either side. Depending on the side you need to fire them on. And anti-aircraft mount 16. Anti-aircraft isn't too bad, especially for Tier 4, so it does an okay job of shooting down the planes from whatever aircraft carriers you might meet at Tier 4, which isn't a ton, but nonetheless, it does an alright job of taking those planes out of the sky. Gunfire control system. Now it does have a firing range of 12.8 kilometers. At Tier 4, that's pretty average. We're going to take a look at some of the other Tier 4s from the other tech lines, just so we can get some comparisons on how this one adds up. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Yubari tends to be just a little bit better than a lot of the ships in a lot of different ways. I myself am a big fan of the Yubari, especially at Tier 4. It seems to shine in its potential. But let's take a look at the rest of the modules. Torpedoes, 14,600 damage, pretty good. 6 kilometer range, that's about average. And torpedo speed, 63 knots, not bad either. Rate of fire, 1 round a minute, that's not bad. I'm pretty sure, like I said, we're going to take a look at some of the other ships, but this thing seems to just have the edge in a lot of different ways. Propulsion, 35 knots. Now, before we jump into looking at the equipment real quick, let's just take a look at the tech tree and compare this ship to other Tier 4s. We have the Kuma, and we take a look at the Kuma. Let's see, this moves at about 36 knots, a little bit faster than the Yubari. Now this only has the Type 6 torpedoes, so it's almost got 4,000 less damage. It has 1 kilometer more of range and about 6 knots less speed, but it does have a slightly higher rate of fire. Now if we look at the Kuma also, we do notice that the torpedoes on it only fire from one side each, although it does have more torpedo tubes. Now we'll also need to take a look at the maneuverability and concealment that I didn't compare this to on the Yubari. But before we do that, we take a look at the gun firing range, which the Yubari outshines this. And it doesn't quite outshine it in hit points. But the guns, it does have a slightly slower 180 degree turn time, and the damage is relatively similar. Now let's jump back to looking at the Yubari and take a look at these maneuverabilities. We have the rudder shift time 5 seconds, 690 meter turning circle radius. Now this is a very maneuverable cruiser. Now keep in mind it's a cruiser, but it's very thin and very maneuverable when it comes to cruisers. And also the concealment, 74 for a cruiser is pretty good, especially at Tier 4. Surface detectability range at 9.9 kilometers, air detectability range at 4.7, and when we compare that to a American cruiser, we can see just how much more maneuverable and more concealed this is than say the Tier 4 Phoenix for the U.S. Navy. Now, if we look at this, the turning circle radius, almost 300 meters more, which is pretty. That's a pretty big gap there. And surface detectability range, you can almost see this ship 4 kilometers sooner than you can see the Yubari. So the Japanese cruiser Yubari is going to be a little bit more stealthy and a little bit more maneuverable. So it's almost like a cruiser destroyer hybrid. And if you know anything about me, you know I like destroyers and cruisers. So this has quickly captured my heart at Tier 4. I feel like playing this thing at Tier 4, you're going to do a good job no matter what. Divisioning with this thing at Tier 4, with say another Yubari or another 2 Yubaris, it's going to be kind of hard to lose a game in my opinion, especially if you have a coordinated division. This thing really wrecks at Tier 4. I might even go far as to say it could potentially be a Tier 4 pub stomper if you play it right. But I know it sounds a little bit, I don't know if I sound biased or what, but I don't know, I really connected with this ship. And I've thrown on a couple of different upgrades here. Got the propulsion modification 1, which has a minus 20% chance of critical damage to the engine. This is what's going to kind of keep you going and hopefully not stopping. Less chance of getting your damage critically hit, and if it does get hit, well, then it should repair a little faster. And the main battery modification 1, this seemed to be the best option for all the different upgrades in this slot, and that'd be a less chance of getting your magazine detonation, hopefully a smaller chance of getting one shot. You're relatively small, but you should you're still in a little bit of danger being a cruiser and having those relatively big guns over here that just don't want to get those magazines detonated, and less chance of getting your guns knocked out. Considering you only have 2, probably want to keep them around for a while, and the repair time on them also lowered. So good few options there for the Yubari. And let's see here, I'll take a look at the crew. Now, this is a guy I pulled over from my other Japanese cruiser, and so far on him, I always like to go to ship survivability first tier, basics of survivability, minus 15% to repair time. That's pretty much anything that's getting repaired. We'll make that a little faster. And torpedo armament, since Japanese cruisers all have torpedoes, I'm pretty sure they all do, if not close to all of them. So this will help you out with that. Minus 10% to reload time, and minus 10% to servicing time of torpedo bombers, which we don't have to worry about that, but for the torpedo tubes themselves. And of course, situational awareness. This will let you know when you've been detected. Pretty nice thing to have in Japanese ships, as they tend to be pretty stealthy all the time, so you might get a little comfortable thinking you're not detected, but this will let you know if you do happen to get detected. So that is kind of how I feel about the Yubari. I'm a big fan of it. Very, very good Tier 4 cruiser. And like I said, it's in the pre-order bundle, so hopefully these videos can help you make your decision in which ship to go with, or all 3. And this is a nice one to start out with because it is Tier 4. So it'll give you a good start in some of the lower tiers, instead of throwing you into something super high before you kind of have all the mechanics of the game down. So let's just take this one out into a game and see how it fares. Alright, looks like we're getting right into a game. Looking here, looks like we're middle tier. We got some tier 5s, we got some tier 3s, but if you notice on our team, we have 3 Yubaris while the enemy only has 1. And I'm already feeling pretty confident in this game just because of that. Like I said, I'm such a huge fan of the Yubari that I might get a little overconfident in this game, but let's try and take a little look at the aspects of this ship. And one of the biggest things I want you guys to note is the maneuverability. Now let's get over a little bit of this frame rate drop to start off with, and hopefully, as we get 0 frames per second up in the corner, we can hopefully get that fixed soon, as long as Fraps doesn't decide to be too upset. We are running this game for the first time for the day, so it's going to look a little jittery to start off with. Let's see here. Let's let everything load here in just a moment, and there we go. We're getting smoothed out here, so sorry about that minor technical difficulty, but I think we're getting smoothed out here. We're going to switch on over to AP with our 140mm guns. Again, keep an eye on these torpedoes at 1 round a minute. That's actually pretty good at tier 4. Pretty good rate of fire on those torpedoes. So now we don't have increased anti-aircraft fire yet. I think that comes at a higher tier. But our anti-aircraft guns are still pretty good on their own, so we're just going to leave those on. Now, this is a standard battle, not domination, so there isn't actually a cap point over here, but we're going to hang out with this other Yubari. And like I said, I think the Yubaris are good on their own, but paired up with another cruiser, especially a Yubari, it's going to be kind of hard to stop something like that. Now, if you look at it too, it is very thin for a cruiser. This is when I say it is, I'm assuming a light cruiser, but it's pretty thin and it turns really well because of that, I believe. Kind of resembles a destroyer in many ways with that the thinner hull. And the fewer guns, I believe. Cruisers tend to have a little bit more guns than this, but Yubari, like I said, only the 2 turrets. And 2 guns per turret. Alright, going to continue to hang out with this cruiser. Again, we're going to try and stick together and potentially focus fire anything that might come down. It looks like he's slowing down to maybe engage this destroyer who's trying to make his way through, which I think is a perfect idea. So we'll slow ourselves down to about 1/4 speed and get ready to unload some shells on this guy. There we go. Good hit right off the bat there as he comes out of there. He's taking a turn there. I don't think we accounted for that, so about to say, oh yeah, it didn't look like we were going to get a good hit there. Trying to figure out where he's turning. Faked us out a little bit there. And we no longer have eyes on him, surprisingly. Ah, he smoked up. That would make sense. Now I'm going to hang out with, again, this Yubari and try and figure out what he thinks he's going to do. But we're going to stick together. Maybe focus down to St. Louis on the other side here. And you notice the rate of fire wasn't bad. Yep, and that cruiser, I'm sorry, destroyer is sneaking around there. But let's take out, at least focus on. Again, we're slowing down so we have our maximum guns on target time. About 6 seconds away, almost 9.5 kilometers. Try and judge these shots right. Alright, maybe let him a little bit too much. And he is going away from us a little bit as the frame rate drops as he disappears, but we did manage to get a couple more hits on him. And our friendly Yubari here is actually backing up. I'm actually not a fan of backing up at this point. I kind of feel like we should push our advantage and stay together. Especially on this guy right here. I think these shots are going to be good. Let's start our turn. Try not to hit our teammate here, which he doesn't seem to have the same idea we do. Why is he not going this direction? He seems to be wanting to take the long way around, and he's kind of... I don't even know if he notices what's happening to his ship at this point. Alright, well, we're just going to stop here and let him do his thing, because at the moment, this isn't helping anybody. And, oh man, we have shots on him, but he's almost doing the exact same thing we're doing. Alright, Mr. Yubari. Ooh. Okay, no, I didn't shoot him. I was afraid I might have hit him. I don't know what this guy is doing, but he seems to be very attracted to me. Which I can understand. We are friendly Yubari, so I guess it kind of works out together. I'm gonna try. There we go. He's stopping. I don't know why. I feel like we should really be being a little bit more aggressive with this guy. He's turning into us. We should be getting some good shots here in just a moment. It is a St. Louis, so I'm not too concerned about him. I just don't want to run into this island next to me either. That's my biggest ideal, right? Thing to do right here, thing to focus on. Now, if you look at the rate of fire, pretty darn good here. Even though it just has the 2 guns there. And we gotta quickly turn around and focus on this St. Louis. Now let's try and keep an eye and see how our turrets do take a while to turn, so we're gonna have to resort to our other form of offense here, which we did get in a lot of trouble, and I'm afraid I'm a little upset, honestly, that this Yubari didn't join in the fighting there and help us out and share those hit points. Nonetheless, we were only in the game for what appears 6 minutes, but we took out 2 ships. I'm not sure what Mr. Guardian Angel 70 was doing, but I feel like he was hindering us more than he was helping us. I think he was just being a little too conservative and a little too passive. We're going to continue watching this game. Since he is another Yubari, might as well kind of get another viewpoint from a different Yubari. But if you noticed, I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of coordination going. Obviously, being in World of Warships, the coordination is pretty, the communication is pretty minimal when you have to kind of type into chat what you want to do. No microphones or anything like that. No voice comms of any nature. But I still kind of felt like I don't know, he could have been able to see what we were doing and make adjustments. Now it looks like he's going to go straight to the enemy cap. Instead of turning around and maybe fighting that St. Louis back there. Which, that's fine. We do have a battleship back at the base, keeping an eye on him, so this Yubari is making use of its speed and stealth, I suppose, to get into the cap and potentially cap it out. But of course, as long as he's got those anti-aircraft guns on, he's not going to really be hiding from anything, and the planes flying overhead are always going to keep eyes on him, so I don't know about, I'm not sure I agree with too much with this guy's use of his Yubari. And 2 torpedoes from a torpedo bomber, I believe. Yeah, it might have been a destroyer. Takes him out. And let's go see if the other Yubari is faring any better. Seems to be doing not much of anything. Still back on the C and the D line. I think I played my ship too aggressive, but at the time, honestly, I feel like this ship needs to be played aggressively, especially in a Tier 4, Tier 5, Tier 3 game. Not a whole lot of Tier 5s. We didn't even see any Tier 5s. We really, really should have been handling this game on that side of the map much easier. But my friendly Yubari that went with me, I just don't think he had the confidence I had. I'm not sure about this Yubari. It seems like he just finally got into the game and got knocked out pretty quick, because he'd been sitting back there, like I said, on the CD line, waiting for these enemy guys to come through. So, unfortunately, not the best game to get an idea. Well, let's put it this way. Not the best game to see. We didn't get a victory, but to be honest, we at least saw some of the aspects of the ship and why I like it. Like I said, in the game, 6 minutes, 2 kills. Rarely do I have a game where I don't destroy an enemy ship, much less maybe even more than one. So, I'm kind of indifferent on this particular game, but if I were maybe coordinated with some other Yubaris, maybe on TeamSpeak or something, I got a buddy of mine who has one, and we found it pretty hard to lose a game when we used these ships together. So, in my opinion, I give the Yubari a thumbs up, and I give 2 thumbs up to getting a Yubari, having your friends get a Yubari, and taking it out and wrecking these lower tiers. This battleship is actually, he's standing his ground pretty well, and that's the nice thing about a battleship is they can do that. Nice torpedo dodge there. Probably going to take out this St. Louis in just a moment. But I'm afraid it's all going to be in vain as the rest of the enemy team moves in. We're going to probably cut out the rest of this game, and we'll just fast forward to the scorecard when it comes around, so we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Alright, you can see at the bottom our last battleship went down in a blaze of glory. But for the 6 minutes that we were actually in this game, and for what it's worth that it was a loss, we managed to get 123,366 credits, which is pretty nice. I believe it doesn't take the repairs and all that stuff out. So what is that with the repairs and whatnot? 116,000. Still not bad. Not bad at all for a loss. 1,060 experience points. Again, a loss, so no other multipliers going on there except for the premium time, which you will get if you purchase the Yubari through the pre-order bundle. Some premium time and some doubloons or tokens as they are called. Battle performance, 26 hits, 1 torpedo hit, 1 critical damage, 2 ships destroyed, 1 flood, and 1 citadel hit. Again, all within 6 minutes, and of course the first two or 3 minutes is just getting out there to the fight in the first place. So I'm going to be quite honest, even though it was a loss, still not a bad game in my opinion. We're tied for first place on our team, experience-wise and kills, so I'm pretty happy with that performance, albeit a loss. Again, I highly recommend this ship. If maybe you're only going to get one ship, this might be the one to be. It gets you the closed beta test access, and it gets you a nice early tier ship. So thank you guys for watching. I have children in the background who are not allowing me to do my recording here quietly, so we're going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, good luck and have fun.